I'm not done yet. Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And most importantly, getting into the chat and letting me know, or us know, what you guys are thinking and feeling. Woke up to some great news this morning. Saliba has signed a new deal or is on the verge of signing a new deal, which is amazing. And we have a big game at the weekend against Newcastle, which, you know, lots has happened at Newcastle at SJP with us under Mikel Arteta. So understandably, I think Arsenal fans are nervous. So we'll get into all of that. But Diluted is back for the first time in like how long? Like
you
a
tell
week.
me. It's you X off the content collaborations. It's not me. I'm happy to make my debut on this platform. I'm happy to share a platform with someone. I've done this for the first time. Thank you for welcoming me and pick up the chat.
Yeah. Well, we just did a show on Diluted's channel. His channel is in the title, so you guys can click on that after and watch that show because that was fun, and all of the shows that he's come up with over the last couple of months. When
Such a great content creator, Diluted is, isn't he?
Yes, very good content creator on TalkSport, doing great things.
Oh, hey,
the old Diluted, he's doing great.
Try.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think so season started. I know we haven't spoken really since the season started, but how are you feeling so far with Arsenal? Have you seen a change? Like, do you feel like we look better, worse, the same? How are you feeling? What's the temperature check on just Arsenal? Like, are we better than we were last season?
In terms of recruitment and obviously Berta coming in 100% on the field, it's the good, bad, and the ugly. It's kind of like this is the good, bad, and the ugly. We're our own best friends or our own worst enemies. And on one hand, I share the perspectives of some fans saying, calm down, it's 30 odd games, there's like 90 odd points to play. I hear that. And on the other hand, I don't agree or subscribe to the panicking, but I understand pattern recognition. We haven't necessarily seen any change, even if we discount the fact that it's 5 games into the Premier League season, 7 in all comps. So it's a mixed bag. It's just what we do in it. Like, and then obviously I believe in the squad. I like Arteta, but as I said on my platform with you, it's like I like Arteta. I like you a lot. I think you've done well. I think, if you left today, you've left us in better stead than when you walked in. But until you get over the line, you're not gone from being a good coach to a winning coach. You might be the man before the man. And I think many Arsenal fans, there's some that are of the belief of, you know what, this is a cup winning, title winning squad. It's all down to the gaffer. To which I subscribe to that. So it is where it is, Jess, man.
That's the most positive thing about going into a summer window and getting damn near everything you needed to get is it creates a level of clarity around the manager to understand, is it that he doesn't have what he needs? Was it just injuries and refereeing decisions? Or is there a gap there between him being a good coach and a winning coach? Because I feel like there's no denial. Like, I think Arteta is a really, really good coach. I think the things that he's done up until this point, it's like he clearly has built the squad to a certain stage, and he is very much so fundamental to how we've gotten to this back to the top table per se. But we know getting over the line is like the last 5-7% that he needs to get to. And I've been, like I said on your channel, underwhelmed by us so far this season. And maybe, very excited about some of the signings and what they brought. and maybe looking for more for some. If you had to name like your favorite sign or like your favorite signing so far and maybe your least favorite signing, and I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. I'm going to take
Oh,
Kepa and Norgard out of the equation so you can't flake. But who have you been like most impressed by and who have you been least impressed by and why?
Andrea Bell, because you're just a competent sporting director, and I'm seeing you
No,
sign new deals
players,
and whatnot. But if you're
players.
talking about the players,
Yes.
obviously big up Mascara, but I kind of rated you before, innit? I weren't no expert or whatever, but I kind of rated you from what I saw of you, innit? Like, obviously, you've blown my mind, really. And, 13 million is a steal, really. And that might, in hindsight, look to be the most important signing we've made. So I could say Mascara. I'm going to give it to Noni because me and you spoke about Madueke. I was underwhelmed by the signing. I didn't want to sign more Chelsea players. But I did maintain he's not as bad as people are making out. I think at best you could be a squad player. I didn't think you was a difference maker. And obviously signing Gyökeres and Eze, that kind of eased the burden. But I think I can understand the method to the madness of Noni Madueke. And the only bad thing I could say about Noni is actually a positive. Is I just think you need to add goals and assists. And it's unfortunately he got injured. Underwhelming. Zubamendi, man, because I was a big fan of Zubamendi. I
Mm,
still maintain it's going to work. I still think he's better than Thomas Partey, but I'm not going to write a man off after 5 games. Not even Rodri was excelling at City after 5 games, but I do think it's been a bit of a culture shock where I look at the traditional top six clashes. Not so much City, but City. I think that was more of all the midfielders out of sorts. I definitely think the case at Anfield. I think you needed to come off before you conceded the free kick, which led to our
mhm,
demise. And United, fair enough. Arteta said he struggled and he was, I think he had a cold or he was ill or something. Managers always say that, but I'd say Zubamendi purely for high expectations, man. So because of the expectation I set on Zubamendi, I'd say right now you're the most underwhelming. I'll give it to Noni. I'll give it to Noni in terms of what you like signing of the summer so far,
mhm.
if that's what you're asking.
You know what's interesting is like the two players that you picked out to be the most like impressive signings. You talked about Mascara first, and then you talked about Nani. Have played so well that I feel like people have maybe forgotten how important and fundamental to this team Saliba and Saka have been because
Yeah, big them
it's
up.
like people were talking. I'm not even gonna lie. Some of the stuff that I was seeing and hearing was just absolutely insane. Oh well, we don't really need Saliba anymore. Maybe we should just let him go. Oh, Saka is Nani does this, Nani does that. But especially like watching Saka like again, there is a clear gap to me between Nani and Saka, despite Nani being so good, better than I thought he was going to be, and Mascara, as good as he is, Saliba's still like the one of the best like center backs in the world.
Sample
Let's be
size and it's not
real.
their fault. It's quite small.
Yeah, and so Saliba signing this new deal is super important. I think to me it was not really in doubt. Like I know a lot of rivals were like, he's definitely gone, like bags packed. And I'm like, I think people underestimate how much more committed this group of players is than maybe players of the past that like the first sniff of somebody else coming to them, they were like, I'm gone. The Alexises, I mean, and the Van Persies and stuff like that. But this younger group, like this group that's, Arteta's built, seems committed to trying to win something with Arsenal right now. How pivotal, how important is this Saliba signing, not just or not signing, but like re-signing, not just from a on the field perspective, but from the outside looking in for people that are maybe side-eyeing the project per se.
As you said, there are people say, well, the project's done. Like the project was to get us being competitive. We've been in that realm. It's not even a project. The next duty of our football team is to get over the line. But it sends out a statement in it. You've got potentially with Gabriel Magalhaes, you also signed a new deal. Two of the
Mm,
best centre halves in world football, top class, world class. Two of the best duos. It sends out stability. It sends out that people believe in this project. I'd say the main thing for me is obviously I still think he's going to go to Real Madrid. But when he signed a 5-year deal at 24 years of age, that tells us, as you said, you're committed, and that should show us with Berta when that inevitable Real Madrid call comes. Hopefully, it's when we've won Prems and Champions Leagues and whatnot. We're going to earn top money. I know people will sit and say, "Oh, you're spending all that money for a centre half." Bearing in mind, big up Van Dijk, but how much did Liverpool buy him from Southampton? So you'd imagine Real Madrid, you'd have to spend the money. If Saliba is sold, that has to be our record outgoing. So
yeah.
it's happiness for a variety of reasons, isn't it? And contrary to popular belief, even though we have failed, I know we finished second. The players haven't down tools on the pitch. They're still buying into what Mikel Arteta is doing at this moment in time on the 25th of September 2025. So it's almost as important as signing a player, really. You have to keep the group together. And, again, you look at Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, maybe even Wanyeri and Miles Lewis-Skelly have all signed new deals. Arsenal fans, if you're probably what I would say, maybe it's an exaggeration, but 20 years of age all the way up to the oldest Arsenal fan, we're accustomed to these things dragging, like
Yeah.
dragging. A couple of these new deals were done early. Saliba, the season is essentially just kicked off. It's done early. So I'm happy with this, man, because I must admit, we need Saka to sign one. But out of Saka and Saliba, you see how you said you wasn't in doubt about Saliba. I was the opposite. I think Saka commit his future. I just wondered if Saliba was to commit his future, would he kind of see how the season develops? Would he kind of play it by ear? Obviously, a bit like how we've benefited from Eze and Rice going off with England. You'd imagine when Saliba's there with France, bearing in mind Mbappe is one of his footballing best friends, they're getting in his ear, like, what's it like winning champs? What's this like? What's that like? And they can still do that if they want. But with Mascara, with this guy signing a new deal, with Berta coming in, we put our best foot forward, didn't it? And I just hope
Mhm.
that he is one of our top earners now. Not that I necessarily care what people are getting paid, but you look at our five most important players on the pitch to win, maybe what they're getting financially, it probably don't correlate.
Yeah. It's definitely Disney version is Saliba is staying and we win everything with him and it's great. The more practical version of this story is that our worst case scenario is that we get a record fee, like you said, from Real Madrid in a couple of years for Saliba. So it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's a win-win, but it's a safety net to make sure that, unlike in the past, if we do end up having to sell, we get what we need. And oh, by the way, we already have somebody that could step in. And so it's not like we're going to have to, whatever we would get from Saliba, we could spend that somewhere else because we already bought Mascara. But in this current Saliba's secured, and that's really good. I would love to have a couple of seasons with a fully stacked squad before we start talking about it's okay for people to go and stuff like that. We haven't had like a deep squad and ever, so it's nice, to have those problems. But, Saka's back in the fold now after being out, due to injury, and now Nani is out. We kind of spoke about that on your channel. Is there a fear around, Saka and his injuries? Do you think that, he needs to be handled with more kid gloves? Do you think Dowman is somebody that needs to play more? How do we manage this 2-month period with playing Saka but not playing him into the ground like we did before?
Boy, you know damn
Right
well he's going
away.
to get you know damn well he's going to play a lot of games. The most frustrating thing beyond the obvious of Noni Madueke getting injured is finally, well, at least before we found out Noni was injured and Saka was back in the squad, we was of the belief of, okay, this is exactly what we signed Madueke for. Whether you're starting games or Saka starting games, we can mix and blend. In terms of solutions, obviously, at the end of the day, I know he's young and he's 15, but Max Dowman came on against Liverpool. When you strip all of that back, 15-year-old coming on against them, that there's belief in him. So he's going to have to be utilized. I did like the, I did like and I do like the fact that Wanyeri's being exposed to, playing more centrally, and that's a whole nother talking point. But naturally, he's an option out there. And I know people might not necessarily want to see it, but you've got Trossard and Martinelli as part of the squad, so they're gonna have to play their part. The games are coming
Yeah.
thick and fast. Naturally, with Saka and the fact that he's had 2 hamstring injuries in like 6 months, that's gonna fill you with worry. I'll give the club that, obviously they're not going to put a player out there if you're not fully fit. They don't want you to get injured. I don't really subscribe to the whole rhetoric of Arteta don't care, he's running him into the ground. At the end of the day, you're relying on the player because clearly Saka is saying he's fit, and you're relying on the physios. Maybe there's an element of having to save these players from themselves because numerous of our players are given an out date. They return ahead of schedule. And anyone that's played football or done any sport, if you imagine your coach is asking you, are you 100% good? There might be scenarios where you are 100% good, but there might be incidences where you're 99.9% fit, but ooh, my ankle, my hamstring, it's not really feeling how it normally feels. But I
Yeah.
don't want to let down my teammates. I want to play. I absolutely care. So, yeah, man. But broadly, Jess, I mean, I think you asked me about injuries. It just comes with the Arsenal territory. Obviously, that's Noni, that's several players. And then also you got the Sakas, you've got the Whites, you've got Timber, you've got players, Calafiori, you've got players that are historically injury prone or players you want to wrap in cotton wool. But there's the whole reason we signed 8 players, so we can absorb this kind of depth. Like, injuries are not exclusive to Arsenal. We're just gonna have to get on with it, man. I'll be real.
The one thing that I do like about having such a deep squad is now that these injuries are happening, they don't. There's not like this like blanket excuse for us not playing well. I thought last season that people held on to it a little bit too much. It was like a crutch. Yeah, but
Hmm.
we don't have Saka. One player being out, no matter how fundamental they are to your team, should not mean that you can't pass the ball to each other. It does not mean that you cannot break down Everton at home. So we have a good enough squad where we can look at it pretty clearly, I think, where we should still feel confident. It's not like we're going up against peak Barcelona every week. We need to be serious sometimes. When Yeri is going to have to step in again, not much choice unless you have to move Martinelli there. Do you think it would be kind of like going backwards if, we wanted to not play Saka to play Ethan there? Or do you think that that's still a viable option that we should be looking at?
It's a viable option. Obviously, long term, we all see Wanyeri as playing as a 10 or 8. I remember last season, I don't really want to see it, but Mikel Arteta said he'd been a striker. If I'm honest, Wanyeri, bro, you just get in where you fit in it. You want to get minutes. You're a young player. You made 30 odd appearances last year. Personally, it's going to sound mad because he's played 30 odd times and he had that City game and he scored in the champs and whatnot. But I don't think he's had his Lewis Skelly moment. I don't think he's had his breakthrough moment. And
Mhm.
I'm a Wenger baby, as you are as well. I'm of the belief of these players that end up playing centrally, whether that's Oxlade Chamberlain, Iwobi, or all those kind of guys. You can learn a lot playing out wide. You can genuinely learn a lot. There's different areas you receive the ball, and at the end of the day, you've got to, at the minimum in today's day and age, play two positions, or even if you're a midfielder, play two different roles. This is what Ranieri's here for. You've got the capacity to do it. Arteta did it. Play the man. I don't think Ranieri's gonna cry. Like, would you rather play wherever you can or be on the bench? And it's even
Mhm.
like Lewis Skelly. Only Lewis Skelly could tell you if he sees himself as a centre mid or a left back. But the factor of the matter is, if you didn't have the capacity to play left back and you didn't take your chances, you're not getting England call ups. You're not getting this new contract. You would have got a new contract, but you're probably not getting the money you would have got. You're not doing everything you've done in the game. So, yeah, man. For me, admittedly, if I put my Mikel Arteta cap on and we're playing week in, week out, I do think he leans towards the Trossards and the Martinellis off the right.
Yeah.
If it was me, my next choice after Saka, now that Noni's not there, obviously, is probably it's give or take. It's Wanyeri and Dalman. It's probably more Wanyeri because obviously Max is 15. Wanyeri's still developing physically and recovery and all those sort of things, and he's 18. So that's a 3-year gap. But it's them two, isn't it? Really, it's them two that's gonna have to do this
100%.
for us.
Yeah, I think Ethan still needs to be an option at right wing, but I think he needs to be more of the preferred option in the 10 when Odegaard's not there at times. I still think that Arteta is reluctant to use him there. Um, I think he's good enough to play there. I don't think Marino is so steady off the ball that it was like, "Oh, you just cannot play Ethan there." But I also just like Ethan in that. I like seeing Ethan in the 10. I think he makes us better there. I think instead of like, I think he just has a little bit more of that like natural 10ness to him. So I don't know, but he could be utilized both places. Have Saka play like Salah, quit having him track back every time. Where do you stand on this whole like our attackers defend too much and that's why, you know, they're not maybe as sharp as they can be in the final third, or maybe that's contributing to injuries? Where do you sit on like strongly agree, slightly agree, not agree? Like where are you, like disagree? What do you
Indifferent. Indifferent
indifferent?
because I
Oh,
don't
okay,
think,
cool.
yeah, because it don't make sense, bro. You have to be able to defend, bro. You have to. There's no just standing up front. You have to do your job, your due diligence. You have to do your due diligence.
You don't
Where
think
I'm
they're
indifferent.
defending too much?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm
Okay.
indifferent because I do think there's scope of cool. You're gonna have to defend, but you have to find that balance. And I'm sure we'll get onto it. We definitely spoke about it on my platform. I think Mikel Arteta, I like everything you've done up until this point is great, defensively, etc. I feel there's many ways to defend. It's how you press from the front, it's how you time waste, it's how you take the sting out of games. Obviously, the mid block, the low block, all of that, how quickly we win the ball when we lose it. But there's also an element of defense which we don't possess yet. And on the face of it, a team that gets 90 to 100 goals, it doesn't make sense. Attack sometimes is the best form of defense. I understand, obviously, if there's gaps in the team. Me, I'm a hypocrite. As much as I think, you've got Rice scanning, you've got Zubamendi, we'll be here all day talking about our great defenders. So let's just say Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, and Calafiori. You've got great defensive ethos, great defenders. You got the extra protection in midfield. I think we can gamble. We might lose a lot defensively, like we might lose 10% defensively, but we might gain 10% offensively. And I also believe, like, obviously, Arteta is not Luis Enrique, but I think if I was looking at another manager or another team that has a way of ethos, I think that kind of, bless you, that kind of football mimics what we do in it, in the sense that Luis Enrique's found the balance. He's found the freedom within the framework. You see Dembele as a false nine. Congrats on the Ballon d'Or, busting his ass to get back. They're both wingers the same, but equally, somehow, and it's above my pay grade, I am the manager, you're seeing them in attacking positions. You're seeing them swap. You're seeing the midfield. Sometimes João Neves is the six. He's the furthest upfield. I think that's where Arteta's got to be. At the end of the day, goals win games, and I'm sure we'll get onto it, but we can ask questions of Gyökeres individually, Eze individually. Obviously, Saka's not really a talking point, but Saka, Martinelli, Trossard. But the broader thing is, if none of these players we've got questions about, they all have to hold accountability. But then surely you've got to look at the manager. And it's because a lot of Arsenal fans, come on, man, you knew whether you got Isaac, Gyökeres, Watkins, whoever you want up front in the 10 or left wing, it's not a simple case of you just plug these players in and we're going to be lit, because we weren't a great offensive side. If we was creating consistently a million chances a game and we're missing, then you make a case of a striker. The same way, I think, take nothing away from our defenders, but everything Mikel Arteta has done from a coaching aspect defensively sets up people to do very well defensively. You know,
Yeah.
all them shit Man United defenders, sorry for swearing, and defo the Chelsea ones, you put them in Arsenal's team, they look a lot better. But then it's a negative in the final third. So I do think there's relevance in it. There's 100% relevance in it. As long as Saka delivers, which is basically what Salah said to Slot, listen, release me a bit defensively and I'll do a madness for you. And he did. And you could argue that the oldest version of Salah last year, that is, in terms of output, that's probably his best Premier League season. So it's a learning curve for Mikel Arteta. But I don't even want to get in the trap of learning curve for Mikel Arteta, etc. On the face of it, respectfully to the gaffer, you've been a manager for 5-6 years. You're a baby as a manager. But I think you have a lot of learned experiences by being Arsenal manager and obviously being at Manchester City, to us not to have these same conversations. Like, I'm sure we'll get onto it. But, you know, before we even talk about City, I'm sure there's things you will say and I will say and the chat will say that have probably been there in the previous games and last season. And as we know, if nothing changes, man.
Yeah, 100%. I like what you said about freedom in the framework, because this, if you bring up wanting us to be more aggressive attacking or be more just, attack more, whatever, however you want to put it, there's always like this element of like, so you just want to go back to getting slapped 5-0. And I'm like, not really, because there are teams that are much better attacking sides than us, but are not like so far away from us defensively. They may have conceded 1 or 2 more goals than us, but they're way better than us attacking wise. So
just take 10% away from us defensively and give us 10% attacking. That's all I'm saying for Mikel Arteta.
That's what I'm asking for too. Like, even just giving a couple more players freedom, to just have that little bit of like, they can just, the people that we trust that are going to make the right decisions in the final third and not just mess things around, like the 22-23 season, we did concede quite a few goals, but I thought a lot of those goals that we conceded were actually individual errors and also just a difference in quality than we have now defensively. Like, you can make an argument that if you had Timber and Raya and let's say Miles Lewis-Skelly back there with Saliba and Gabriel, that naturally would have taken away some of those defensive mistakes anyway, but we had a very free and open attack. Then did we need to like clam up completely? I don't think so, but Arteta like panicked. So I don't know. I think there can be more, like you said, freedom in the framework. But this is not a new thing. This is something that we've been talking about for a while. But I think people thought that with the individuals changing up front, that naturally things would just fall into place. But I think it's becoming more and more clear that it's more of a tactical manager thing than an individual
above everything
thing. Exactly, 100%. With Manchester City, especially looking forward to Newcastle, that felt like that was a missed opportunity to. I don't know if we need to like make a mark, like put our marker down or anything like that, but it was an opportunity to beat a weakened City side, and I feel like we don't get to see those very often. So when we do, we should probably take advantage of it. And I think we let them off the hook. They almost left the Emirates with a win. genuinely.
It would have been a
Uh,
masterclass from Pep with his defensive structure in the
yeah,
game. The players let him down.
nearly. What what needs to change from that game to the Newcastle game for us to get all 3 points?
Well, you can't. Well, the one thing I won't blame Arteta for, and I'm more critical on Arteta than the players. Actually, I think that should be the case this season and not the case last season. Obviously, you got to switch on defensively. Mistakes happen. Unpopular opinion, like mistakes happen. The manager's gonna get it wrong. Players are going to make mistakes. Goals are going to get conceded. Man are going to miss tappings. This is how football works. I think the players conceded a shoddy goal for a team that's we're caught in transition. We're a great defensive side. That's unacceptable, in it. If I'm completely honest, in terms of what changes, I don't think anything will change because obviously City are not Newcastle. Sorry, are not City, but it's kind of the same kind of approach. Again, Newcastle. Nobody wants to go to St James's Park. No one wants to really play Newcastle. I
Nope.
don't see. Arteta's approach in a big game. Cool, Newcastle have not won the league like City and Liverpool, but it's the same remit in it, especially away from home. So I don't think he changes, and I hope it's not the case. But the approach against Liverpool, the approach against City, I can't imagine things changes. I think we're going to see Marino in the 10. And I understand the method to the madness generally. And maybe it's more my fan cap because, we've not got over the line. We want to, as you kind of said, we want to make a statement. I don't feel Mikel Arteta in Arsenal, or better yet, Mikel Arteta. I don't think he's kind of understood that we're in that room now. Now, granted, we ain't won the title, but City are as scared of us as we are as them, as shown in the 90 minutes. Liverpool respected us at Anfield as much as we respected them. I think you needs to find that balance of just take away 10% of how much you think what the opposition is going to do and think about the weapons. Because I'm not being funny. Look at the attack. Sometimes attack is the best form of defense. No one wants to. I'm not even here to gas up Gyökeres. Gyökeres won the Puskas Award or Gerd Muller Award, whatever it is. It's clearly a good striker. Eze, we know what he's done. Saka's going to be there. We know what he's done. We know what our midfield can do. So go and ask questions. And we're not Barcelona. But maybe it gave food for thought. Of course, you're gonna have to. We're not Barca, so maybe Newcastle Champions League night there was an element of respect. But we know Newcastle is gonna start well. Then Joe Linton's gonna fly into everyone. The fans are gonna be living and breathing every tackle. We can't. Well, we can equip ourselves physically, but we'll try to play football. So let's be on the front foot a bit more because I don't think the league's all over if we don't beat Newcastle. But you didn't win at Anfield. You didn't win at City. They're still still feel a bit angry. You don't win at Newcastle. Suddenly 5 points turns into 8. And then now the margin for error gets a bit mad. For me, I think I want what every Arsenal fan wants. Raya in goal, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. I don't really care if it's Calafiori or Miles Lewis Skelly, but I'll go with Calafiori. Put Eze in the 10. Rice and Zubimendi do what you need to do. Saka, you're in. Left wing, I'm not really. Well, Yoker is up front. Left wing, I'm not sure. Do you start Martinelli, even though he's great as an impact sub? If you don't start Martinelli, then naturally you're going to start. Who else would you start?
You
Trossard,
said you thought
probably.
it was gonna be Trossard.
It probably is because what else are you gonna do? You're not gonna do nothing left field like Max Dowman or, as much as it sounds mad, Wanyeri out there. Or if it's not gonna be Trossard, you're gonna put Eze there. And then if Eze's there, you're not gonna start Wanyeri in the 10. I hope you do, but you're gonna start Marino. So you know what? If it was up to me, I'd probably go the lineup I said, but I expect to see Marino in midfield and I expect to see Eze on the left. And I don't want this to sound like a witch hunt against Marino because I don't agree with it, but I understand why he's gone in there. You're not Martin Odegaard. Normally, you move out to the left. Against City, you was playing as a right centre mid. Arteta just sees it as Odegaard's my number one. There's no Kai Havertz. Marino's the next big job. Obviously, when we're looking at that creative role, we're thinking about what man can do, breaking lines and all of this. That's not how Arteta is looking at it. And I understand the game has developed, but I do think we're at that point of, like you said, don't reinvent the wheel. I think we needed to reinvent the wheel in previous years. I think we've done that. Football's a simple game sometimes. So just run with that. But I expect to see Marino in midfield and Mikel Arteta, to be honest, if you're going to do that, just grab the 3 points because then it starts to get a bit mad.
Yeah, 100%. This is what Rob is saying is probably like the thing that it pisses me off so bad,
Exactly.
knowing this about Arsenal, knowing deep down in my gut that the worst thing about us is that one mistake at the back can be lethal for us, how little we score. And the only thing I would change with that is it's not even about us making a mistake. It's the fact that we only really concede super quality goals. Like this season, we've conceded 2 goals. Both of them, to me, were of immense quality. I don't see those as individual mistakes. I don't. You don't think
Shabazz, I give that to you. But what's the other goal?
the Holland goal I felt like was quality. I did. It was a perfectly executed
From
counterattack.
City perspective, Jess, but come on, man.
It wasn't a mistake by us.
Huh?
I don't think it was a mistake.
We got caught in the transition, and I'm not here to blame players generally. I think personally, I think Saliba could have managed that better. I think Magalhaes could have done a bit better. Calafiori's obviously caught high up the field because we're attacking. But look at our go watch the goal again. Look at our midfield. Marino, Rice is
I think
schoolboy.
it was just
There's bare man looking at the same ball. That was terrible
fair
from
enough.
one of the best
If
defensive
you
sides
want
in
to
Europe.
give
Come on,
that,
Jess.
if you want to get, I thought that it was just, it is the standard Holland goal that you're going to give up against City. I just,
Fair enough.
it's he scored. I think he scored against us every single time, and
He
only
loves
one
it.
time I thought that we just gave him the goal, and that was years ago. But I don't know, whatever. But let's just say we don't really concede a lot of like just individual errors, really.
Yeah.
But it is like one goal means the game is there. It's done. I don't know what happened to this team where we can't
Becomes a
come
mountain
back.
to climb.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is like you're saying that, and that's exactly how we lost to Newcastle at their spot last season. Isak scored in like the 11th minute of that game. It was a good cross in from, I don't know, Gordon, I feel like maybe. And he got in between Saliba and Gabriel. He headed the back of the net, and I don't think we really mustered any sort of shot, or we didn't even try really, like we weren't even putting them under pressure. This is the worst thing about us to me is you're going to concede goals. It happens. It's even the best defense concedes goals, but we don't have a way of just scoring. We just don't. Like we don't know how to come back or score from behind or even equal after we've conceded.
Consistently enough to win a title at the very least.
Yeah, it's dark, so because I anticipate Newcastle scoring. I think they will. I think they will score.
Well,
They
first.
have You said
Well,
first?
yeah, and then Newcastle first. Is what you're saying.
Probably. Because I feel like we'll do the sitting at the halfway line like we always do. And they have the types of players that usually eat against us. The Gordons, and I don't know if he's coming back from suspension yet, but the Langas, these guys, that's exactly like that is the our thing. Like those types of players score against us because we usually at the halfway line, they just clip it over the top, boom. Especially on that side as well, the side that Alenga is on, that's the Calafiori side. That's the side that gets eaten up. So no offense to Calafiori, it's been happening since Zinchenko. Like that side is the weaker side. So they will score. But what are we going to do about it? That's always my question.
Football
I
decided
don't
in both
want to
ends
have to keep
ultimately.
it 0-0. If we have to keep it 0-0 in order to get a result, it's done. It's bones.
And their form's kind of poor as well. Like I understand. Listen, no one wants to play at St. James's Park. Newcastle, a big club. Eddie Howe, a good manager. When I think of Newcastle, immediately I think of that midfield. Big up Tonali, big up Gamares. We know Joe Linton's going to be clattering into our players, but that's the issue, innit? That's the issue. I don't know, man. I just think we stick to the script a bit much. Like I sound like a hypocrite because I wouldn't quite say it, but I do think there was an element of throwing the kitchen sink against City. But the sad thing is, that's far too many times. I think we play at one pace, whether we're winning, losing, or drawing. And I just think we stick to the script. I hope they don't score first because a difficult task becomes harder. And we know Eddie Howe's got a stubborn unit, but I can't lie, man. I think Newcastle, I sound like a hypocrite because I think it's never been a better time to play Liverpool at Anfield. There was definitely a never better time to play City at our place. And I still think it with
None of
Newcastle.
those
There's never been
things,
a
the
better place.
form never matters for us. They have to be
Exactly.
on their knees. Like basically, no offense, the way Nottingham Forest was, that's kind of how they need to be. So bad, so off their game. Otherwise, it's like we're kind of like if you're in bad form, is Arsenal coming in town? Like that's kind of our thing now. So
we used to say that many years ago, actually, before Mikel Arteta, actually, like form goes out the window, you play us. This is the game where, form might turn around. And I'm sure West Ham, that was the case last year. But we need to just make a team that's clearly maybe lacking confidence, maybe not happy with how they started. Take their bad season and make it worse.
Confidence?
Hmm?
Do you think this team is lacking confidence? Or
No, I think Newcastle, not us. I don't think they're lacking
Newcastle.
confidence.
Okay.
And if we're
Yeah.
lacking confidence, anybody at this football club, pardon my language, if anybody connected to Arsenal Football Club 5 games into the season, 7 games in all comps, if you're lacking confidence, go home, go call your mother because you're not prepared to go to war. We're going to war this season. You can't. We didn't, as vexed as I am about not winning at City or Liverpool or even the games where we won 5 goals against Leeds or Nottingham Forest. I think we could have scored more. No, we ain't got time for that. When we win, don't get excited. When we lose, don't think your shit. Just keep moving. We need grown men out there, respectfully to the ladies listening. Like, we ain't got time to hold people's hands. The only one that needs their hand held is Dalman, and clearly he don't from a footballing perspective. So what are we doing here? Everyone's good enough. Everybody, most of these players played in the champs. Do you want to win this title or not? Why?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no reason for us to, if we're lacking confidence in September, wrap it up. You know,
Exactly.
we shouldn't be lacking confidence. We should still feel like we're fully in it, you know. So I don't want to hear any of that. But, I'm seeing a lot of Eze needs to start. And we had spoken about this on
100%.
your channel. Barcelona basically had the blueprint, a team, you can't fight fire with fire. Sometimes you need to fight fire with water. So you need to be the opposite of whatever the other person is in order to, you know, I think that's maybe been our problem over the years with City is we're trying to do something similar to them and it either cancels each other out or because they've been better at it than us, they beat us. Where Liverpool was like the opposite of City. They were more direct. They were playing more into space, so it was more fighting from different ways. If we try to do our like big game off the ball physical, they're going to beat us. They're going to beat us. We
Can't
need to be
doubt it.
able we have to be able to play football better than them. They're not it's not that I don't think Newcastle are a good footballing team, but I don't think you look to them for the best football, if that makes sense. Like, and so we
And it's
have the
12
ability
against 11. If that's the case, their fans are going to be living and breathing every kick.
100%. So we need to figure out a way to be more cute with the way that we play. And so I do think that Eze needs to start because he's the exact same type of person. He has been in this league for many years. He's gone to St. James's Park before. Like, he's not somebody that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm at St. James's Park and they're hitting me. Like, he's not going to do that. So I do think Eze needs to start. But I also think if we play the way that we did against Bilbao, it won't make a difference. If we're scared to go into central areas, if we're so caught up in the physical parts of the game that we don't actually get onto the ball and try to make things happen, then it won't really matter, So it's not just about putting Eze out there. I feel like we have to actually play differently. And I think that's where, Arteta will put Eze out there and we'll look the same because we don't change our way of play. And they'll be like, see, told you so. But the way that we play needs to change. Do you get what I'm kind of saying?
Yeah, and I
Doesn't
second
make
that.
that
And
make
what
a
I would what I
difference.
would say as well on top of that, Jess, at the end of the day, yeah, Newcastle can be as defensive, as physical, as whatever they want to do. Football's a simple game, man. You give Eze the ball and he does what he's paid to do as a footballer, the magical moments, as Mikel Arteta said in Saka. You silence the St. James's crowd very quickly. We know you can't keep those Geordie bastards quiet, pardon my language, but like, you're gonna get scared. Anyone that's played football, if you're playing, whether Eze is playing as a 10 or left wing, if he dances past you, drops the shoulder, sends you for a bagel, you're gonna think, oh my god, like, I'm scared. I need to get out of there. You cook him, you kill his confidence, and that goes to the whole team. Arteta, I can't lie, man. Feed Gyökeres some tap-ins. Play as a let Saka get on that left field. My midfielders, and it's not really on Arteta. My midfielders, specifically if it's Rice and Zubamendi, I need a performance. I need 3 points. We're going to war. Like, relish it. And at the end of the day, it's a game of football. You lose, so what? It's a game of football. You didn't kill no one. And I need to see us
Mhm.
that. I still think we're either really
Yeah.
good or kind of bad. We're not. Yeah, we're going through the motions. We need to seize the
Well,
future, man. Or the present.
United, Liverpool, and City were all bad performances to me.
Exactly.
So,
I
and then
allowed United because it was first game and we got 3 points,
yeah,
but still, it needs to be better.
and our two other performances were against, let's be real, bad teams. So our team, like, because Nottingham Forest is a good team is in a bad period. So we need to fix that. Now I'm thinking about our goals as well. I'm trying to think. I feel like most of them were direct. Like almost every goal that we've scored outside of goals that maybe the Saka goal against Leeds was not, and then we had a bunch of like corner goals, but both of Gyökeres's goals, both of Martinelli's goals, there's got to be one more
Mm.
in there as well. were all more direct goals, like direct goals in
Ferreira scored a
behind.
corner.
Mhm.
Martinelli scored a goal in behind. Obviously,
Yeah,
Eze for Martinelli. Saka's bagged. Gyökeres with a solo effort. Eze with a
yeah.
tap in for Gyökeres. The penalty. Oh, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
feel I feel like almost like outside of the Saka goal in Champions League and Premier League, almost all the goals outside of the ones that we scored on corners were more direct, where we hit it over the top and somebody ran, either as Martinelli, as a Joker, or somebody. We're better when we're direct. Like we're better when we're direct. When we try to pass, because we don't whatever it is, we don't want to pass between the lines. We don't whatever. We already know Newcastle are going to sit, not sit deep, but they're going to try to do the stubborn mid
It's
block
going to
thing.
be a stubborn unit to break down.
Yeah,
We all
we're
know
gonna
this
have to
against
try to
Newcastle.
figure out a way to manufacture some direct moments, or else we're gonna struggle because we don't like to play down the middle, and I don't want it to become a. It's just gonna be a worse version of the Bilbao game. I feel that's all it's gonna be. Stubborn mid block. They're trying to play on the counter, but they're better than Bilbao would have been on the counter, and we'll struggle to break them down. So, and Eze didn't have the best game. So it's hard to anticipate what the Newcastle game is going to be like, but I think you can say like if we don't change the way that we approach the game, we will struggle based on what we kind of know that they will do. Like I don't think it's just about the lineup and keeping Marino out. I really think he needs to change his approach, but do
It's
I
about the
think he
ethos and the
will?
approach. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think so. Nova says just diluted love all the way from Uganda. Thank you so much. Or Uganda, sorry. I
One
think I
love.
said I think we're looking at City and using that as a measure of our performance. We need to outgrow that. The objective should be that we're always aiming for the top. I think you're talking about maybe like the team because
What does that
I,
mean? Forgive me. What does that
I
mean?
feel like, I feel like what they're trying to say is that our goal shouldn't be to just like get results against City or like look at the City performance always as like the measuring stick for our season. I do kind of think that Arteta has like an obsession with City, and I feel like what he's trying to say is like,
As fans, we've definitely outgrown that. We
yeah,
just thought City was there for the taking. We just
yeah,
think
it's
Liverpool might be
always
better than us
City.
across the season, but we can go
Yeah,
gunshot for gunshot.
but because Arteta was sitting there saying like, I've never seen him to have to sit in a block like that.
Neither have I, but did you get 3 points? Because I'm not
Yeah.
even trying to be blasé to Arteta. I hear that you did all of that. They had 30,
Mhm.
34% of the ball. Pep, I've never seen him be that defensive. That's great. But, we've known for the last 2 years, excluding this year, 3 years if you want, we're one of the best coach side in European football. We can do that. We're in that realm now. We shouldn't be surprised by that. We're here now. And at that point, if we want to win the league, we need to get 3 points because, as we know, it's just about the results. There's going to be games like against United. You said it. Like probably a draw would have been the fairest result, maybe potentially a loss, but we won. Anfield, we probably deserved a draw. We probably deserved a bit more from City, which I hear all
Yeah.
of that. But it's a results-driven business, points on the board now. And I'm not even saying if we played crap and we win the game, just be happy. But that's the only thing, points on the board, those fine margins. We know what time it is this season.
Yep. I agree. I think Arteta does have too much of an emphasis on City, and he focuses so much on what happens in the City game as some sort of like you said, measuring stick for where we're at. We made City have to sit back, but ultimately, it wasn't. It wasn't
Did you
shit.
win?
Really. Yeah, it wasn't shit. Like,
I'm not even trying to be
sorry.
disingenuous. Did you
Like,
win?
yeah, we didn't win the game and we didn't perform well. We didn't make Donnarumma have to work for it. It was very much so like the standard Arsenal performance against a big side.
And our
And they
bacon got saved. Let's be real. Had we have lost 1-0, sorry to cut you, Jess, it would have been
yeah,
just like what we used to see under Wenger. Million chances, bare possession. We don't win the game, bro. So I hear it, Arteta, but that's the realm we need to get away from. We need to go from just happy to be here, happy to do that to, yeah, we're a good fucking team. We should be doing that. Where's them 3 points? As simple as
exactly.
that.
Like Neil says, you create your own luck and we're not creating enough. And I
Facts.
agree. We don't create enough chaos. I feel like that's a big reason why we don't get a lot of penalties because we're not making the defense have to shift around. We don't move the ball quickly. The best iterations of Arsenal, both best iterations of Arsenal, we came out of the gates hot. We constantly attacked. We were constantly moving. People were switching positions all the time, and we were aggressive from minute one. There's never
Aggressive.
been a
Yeah.
time where we've been good or had a good run of form where we played like this. So whatever this version of Arsenal is, it has to be changed. There's no way to justify it as like it's good because it's not. The results
It's
are saying that
essentially
it's not
reactive.
good.
It's
Yeah,
proactively reactive. Like we're being
yeah.
proactive in reactive in terms of what the other team's going to do. And I do like that in a sense from Arteta, which is why I don't want it to go, which is why I said earlier, just dial it back 10% and give us 10% in attack because it just
Mhm.
feels like Arteta is of that. I know it's basic, but keep it tight. Don't do too much. Let me get a temperature for the game and then I'll change things. To be fair, normally I'm vexed at Mikel Arteta is not necessarily his starting 11, but his in-game management. It was a bit of the opposite against City, but
Mm.
hey, this is what needs to. We stepped into the season knowing what time it is.
100%. I'm not surprised that there's already like negativity because in preseason, there were already think pieces and media shit going on about us in preseason. Like people anticipate inside an Arsenal this being the season. Now, do I actually believe that if he goes trophyless, anything will happen? No, I don't. But I think in
Second
terms
that.
of like the buy-in for Mikel can really change a lot in this season. I feel from the fans that are really loving him and all that kind of stuff. So it's dark, but against Newcastle, if you get a win, that can go a long way because this is just not a ground that we do well at. Like, and this is not.
Well,
It's kind of
well,
nightmarish if you really think about it. Like last two losses against, well, the one in the where they came to our spot. What the fuck was that? Like in the Carabao Cup, that was diabolical. The 1-0 where we didn't even muster anything after they scored, and then the ball went out game, like whatever the fuck that was, so let's change the narrative for once. I feel like that's what I'm looking for is just at least changing the narrative. United are only 3 points behind us.
I don't look at the league table. I don't know.
I know you don't, but I'm just here to tell you guys that United are only 3 points behind us. As much as we think we're so, we're Arsenal, we're not like really like way ahead of anybody or anything like that. So it could get dark. But yeah, and Edward says we owe Newcastle for sure.
We owe ourselves
Um,
one.
yeah. One thing that I want to touch on before we go as well is Jokeris and your temperature on Jokeris, because he's going to be an ongoing conversation. He either is going to be labeled a flop or he's going to be great for us. Where are you at with Jokeris? What needs to change?
I
Like
think it's
what?
60% on Arteta, 40% on Gyökeres. And I only say that because clearly, as I said on my platform, Gyökeres is cumbersome. First touch isn't the best, not the greatest individual striker we've seen. But he's 27. We cannot change it. He has to adapt clearly, and he's doing that. He's not going to change too much. Simply put, create chances for him. That's actually why I was happy with Gyökeres, because we've been calling last season for Arteta to change one, two things. You're getting a player that is, in theory, not a Mikel Arteta player. Provide the man with chances, really. I think he's had 7 shots of these 5 games he's played and got 3 goals. And that's not sustainable. And when you deep it, how many times has he been in the box? And then let's actually look at the goals he has scored. He got a penalty. Credit to you for putting that away, from putting that in the back of the net. Obviously, you played against Leeds, great solo effort, and you bagged a tap in against Nottingham Forest, which I like from Eze. Provide the man with service. I don't need you to be that guy. And Arteta, I don't think you didn't want your career. You can have your preferences. But you knew this guy can't play up front like Marino, can't play up front like Kai Havertz, can't do what Jesus could do. Probably couldn't even do what I've seen with Lacazette and maybe to a degree Eddie Nketiah. But what he can do is do the hardest thing in football, put the ball in the back of the net. And if we're any questions we have about Gyökeres, he has to hold accountability. I guess there's things he could do better. Maybe, like you said, rightly so, taking one touch too many. But in the attacking ranks, we were asking what's going on with Eze. We're asking what's going on with Gyökeres. Somebody asked earlier, could you leave Saka further forward? Why is he doing up defending? These guys could be at other clubs and thrive. And my biggest thing is, if we're saying this about the whole collective unit, is it conducive what Mikel Arteta is doing to the squad? Probably not. There's a defensive tax. You could slap anyone up front. You're not going to see their best version. As you said on my platform, I agree with it. It's, if Gabriel Jesus isn't the perfect striker on paper, with a guy that could score, it'd be Isak. But Isak would have the same struggles. He'd probably score a lot more due to individual brilliance. Playing up front for this football club used to be a striker's dream. It's not now. It's an impossible job. You want man to fight these centre backs, drop out wide, pull into the channels, and get into the box. And when we get into the box, what is it? 9 times out of 10, we're playing deep blocks and compact units. There's bare defenders in the box. It's against one man. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you know what? We'll allow Gyökeres for the big games. Maybe he can score against the smaller teams, be a flat track bully. We struggled in the smaller games. You're not wrong. I get it. But 9 times out of 10, it's the smaller games where the last 2 years where we've shot ourselves in the foot, not been able to break down them low blocks. So it's not just a Gyökeres problem. It's a greater issue for the squad. And unfortunately, it falls at the lap of Mikel Arteta. So he needs to show something, man. He needs to show something, man. I'm not having nothing else. He needs to show something.
You know what it is with Mikel? I want to see him take an attacker and just make them better than what they are, so we don't have to question. I think there's been maybe like 1 or 2 players that I thought Arteta's really like coaching them up and getting them into the right position.
More, but hey.
In attack, not.
Yeah,
you think there's more?
Yeah, in the last 3-4 years, there's been more. Ooh. I agree with it, but just being fair to him. Smith Rowe had a good season under him. Martinelli's been woeful, but he had a good season. Saka's gone from strength to strength. Odegaard had that year. I'm forcing it a bit, but Rice has added goals into his game. See, this is why I'm vexed with Arteta.
Let me. Okay, so you're going right into my point. It's for the majority of those players, you would probably give them 1 year, and it was all in that same year where they were all in flow, and the whole attacking unit was playing well at the same time. Since then, you've had maybe Saka on, Odegaard on, maybe Rice.
Can we say Kai and Merino up front?
Yeah, I mean, Kai definitely has had the back end of 23-24 and the beginning of 24-25. Kai looked really good in both of those times, but it's a piece of time. There's too many times where there's like 1 player playing well, maybe 2, but it's for like 2 or 3 games, blah, blah. When is Arteta going to get his attack in flow, where for almost the entire season, you're not worried about whether or not we're going to score a goal? I don't think I've seen it since the back end of 23-24.
And weren't this the guy, sorry to cut you, Jess, but weren't this the guy that when he signed for us, or even when Sterling signed on loan, he worked with Sane and Sterling and he done something. You've got the ability to Arteta, you're choosing not to, which is why I think you need to go to war with the man in the mirror. You will be the reason you celebrate this season, or it's another missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. And if it's another missed opportunity, questions.
Mm-hmm. And what I'd like to see, like, just off of the getting attackers in flow and seeing the attacking unit as a whole with confidence, playing to their strengths, scoring lots of goals, is I would like that to be the overall thing that changes, not just beat Newcastle. Beating Newcastle is important, obviously, but I think I'd prefer the change to not be about just getting a result in a singular game, but can we focus on getting this group of attackers playing well, confident, scoring lots of goals, because that will make us win games. That will make us win games overall. We'll still drop points, but one of our bigger problems is that we just don't know if we're going to score a goal or not. And if we go behind, it's over. So definitely, if the players are just in flow, which I just don't think that I see them in flow enough, like it feels like it's forcing. Nobody's like going, and you got a Gyökeres that was in form. You got an Eze that was off of the back of a Community Shield, like win that he played a big part in. You got players that you didn't have to rehab. You didn't have to rehab Eze and Gyökeres. You may have had to do a rehab job on Havertz, but you don't have to do a rehab job on these. So he has to figure out a way to get players into a system.
And Gyökeres has bagged in everywhere he's gone. If he doesn't score under you, Mikel Arteta, bearing in mind everything Jess and myself have said in the last 2 minutes, is it a Gyökeres problem? Maybe. But is it a bigger Arteta problem? Hell yeah.
Yeah. I had questions about Arteta instantly when Aubameyang stopped scoring goals for us. I was like, all right. Yeah. Actually, I put on like a list of like things that I would like to see from Arsenal this season is one player hit 20 goals. I might have to knock that down.
What in the league or all comps?
In the league.
Inshallah, but that's all I got, man. I can't see tangible proof, like unless it's bare individual brilliance, which individual brilliance can only take you so far over 38 games. And this is the thing, like Arteta, like bro, you've got a great defense. Not only do you have great defense and great defensive options, bro, you've got Declan Rice. scanning. You've got Zubamendi, who, fair enough, he might be more of a cultural six than a British six, switched on defensively. We press well from the front. Just dial it back 10% and give that 10% to the attackers. The things we could achieve, it arouses my imagination. I'll say that much.
Cool. No, I get you. What's your score prediction for the Newcastle game? What do you think?
Define score prediction. Are you talking about touches, shots on target, the result? Define that.
What's the result? What's going to happen?
The result and what's going to happen is I back my boys to, you know, first and foremost, play for pride in the shirt. Obviously, respect the traveling fans. But if you're asking me for a result, just give me that Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes from a set piece, 1-0. Let's just get out of there, man. Let's just get out of there, man. I'd love 4-0. I'd love attacking football. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath. So I'm just going to say, you know what, set piece, backs against the wall defending, just get out of there. And then what? It's Champions League next week. We just focus on that. Just get out of St. James Park with my 3 points out there, man.
Yeah. Gabriel hasn't scored from a set piece in a while, has he?
No, I'm putting him in my FPL team this week. I'm putting him and Saliba. Saliba, new contract hype. It's written in the stars. I've seen this. I've seen this.
Yeah, we'll go with
hopefully
that.
Max Stoutman wins a pen.
He's the only one that can.
Yeah, we need to keep encouraging that. I must admit.
For sure. But yeah, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We did do a show on his channel as well where we talked more about the same stuff and some different stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. The channel is in the title, but you can always also put in the search engine Diluted Gooner. You know, he'll come up. Hopefully.
Thanks for that, Jess. Nice to make my debut on this platform. So wait, before we go, what? We're not gonna talk about your boy Kivior. We're not gonna talk about Martinelli. Like, what's going on?
But we can talk about those things if you want to.
I mean, I have nothing to say about Kivior because he's gone. Martinelli is scoring goals. His goals to minute ratio is some of the best in the team at the moment. Some people doubted my Brazilian, my talent of the century. I didn't say that. Jurgen Klopp said that.
Listen,
just want to know if everyone gets their flowers. People
enjoy your day in the sun.
Yeah, because that's not gonna last. Like,
that's all I'm gonna say. Because in about 2 months' time, we're gonna be hearing you talk about Jesus.
Yeah, soon. It's a World Cup year. Don't doubt the Brazilians.
So
Jesus, I don't know. You need to show me fitness, man.
He's been Arteta's best. He's Arteta's best ever striker. I'll say that for sure. So.
I hope not, because we got Gyökeres. I ain't trying to hear that. Just I can't lie. Everything Gyökeres did to get the move to this football club, I'm not hearing that. I'm not on that.
Well, we shall see. But listen, you guys, make sure you guys check out DG's channel and all the great content that he's doing. The next time that you guys will see me is on Saturday when we recap all the things that happened with our rivals. And then after that, it'll be the instant reaction for our game against Newcastle. So make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys are new. Like the video just in general if you guys are just, you guys love me. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Peace out.